Hey everybody, Brian King here. There was a very interesting discussion going on yesterday in one of the groups that I belong to on Facebook. In fact, it's called The Dad's Edge, and it's totally phenomenal. So if you're a dad, I highly recommend you check it out. The discussion was around having a life purpose. Do we all truly have a life purpose? How do you go about finding this life purpose? And I put some thought into it because over the years, what I thought was my life purpose changed. In fact, let me give you a metaphor here that I hope will be helpful to give a little context to what it is I'm going to discuss here. Hey, Phoebe, think about water, the most abundant thing on the planet, substance. What is the purpose of water? If you look at it in the ocean, it's flowing, it's got waves. Can you say that its purpose, it's being water? Okay. So let's say it's a hot day. Some of that water evaporates. Now it's a cloud. Did it stop living its purpose because it's a cloud now and it's not liquid form? So what happens when the temperature changes and that cloud, the water condenses, now it's rain? Okay. Is it being its purpose now because it's raining from the cloud? Maybe, maybe not. So when I look at water, what it is, how it engages the world, changes depending on the circumstances. It begins as liquid, turns into a cloud, turns into rain. Maybe sometimes it's fog or steam. So depending on the circumstances, it can change. And I don't think that's very different from what people do. When I looked back at my life, when I was a kid, so much of my purpose was about avoiding boredom, finding something fun to do. That was the top of my mind. Now you can see maybe as a child, our purpose is to learn, to grow, to prepare ourselves for adulthood. And those are important endeavors, but is that our purpose? Is that some overarching umbrella that everything we do is supposed to work towards? Maybe, maybe not. When I was a teenager and I was diagnosed with cancer, my purpose then was to survive, to not die. And that was my purpose for quite some time. When I found out I was in remission, my purpose then became to rebuild my life. A lot of my beliefs were shattered. A lot of friendships were lost. I had to deal with the anger, with the depression, the sadness. I had to rebuild somewhat from scratch. Then, when I got married, my purpose was to be a good husband. When I became a father and learned all of my kids have ADHD and Asperger's, my purpose then became an all-consuming need to prepare them for the world. And a lot of what I do now is still in service of that, is making sure I'm the person that models the skills they're going to need. Another purpose that I have is to help you, my clients, the people that are kind enough to connect with me in social media, to be helpful to them, to give them things they can use to better their lives. So is my overarching purpose to be helpful? It's a very important value for me to be helpful, to be of use to people. I wouldn't say it's my purpose. So when you're seeing courses out there, and there are a lot of them, let me help you find your life purpose. Let me find why you were here. I'm here to say to you that it changes. There's no real overarching life purpose, the thing that you were born to do for the entirety of your existence. You have values. If you live those values, when you feel compelled to do so, that in that moment, you are acting with purpose. You are acting on a value to be helpful. You're acting on a value to be grateful. So your actions are purposeful in that moment because they're guided by something important to you. But I wouldn't spend a lot of time thinking that your life doesn't have direction or meaning because you haven't discovered this overarching life purpose. I frankly don't think there is one. I think what's important to know is what you're really good at, what you love doing, what holds the most value for you, and find opportunities to live those. And depending on what happens in the situation, whether you're called upon to be fluid and flexible like the water in the ocean, or you're called upon to be the cloud, or to be the rain, you will change depending on the circumstances of your life. What you care about will change depending on the circumstances of your life. But be clear in your mind what in that moment you stand for. Because that's another value that I hold very dear, is the value of choosing your actions instead of being reactive, being proactive, choosing your response, choosing your actions, so that when you do act, it is with some purpose of who you want to be in that moment, what experience you want to create for others in that moment. Acting purposefully is probably the one thing that you want to make a conscious effort to do. If you're acting purposely, you are being part of the creative process that is the universe, bringing something into being. So that's how I look at it. I hope that's useful for you as well. And if it is, feel free to comment below. Let me know. I see a couple folks joining a little bit late here. No worries. This is recorded, so you can watch from start to finish. And if there are others that are struggling with this, and you think this message will be helpful for them, feel free to share it so they can be helped too. And as always, I'm here to help you. So if this is a concept that you want to mull over and troubleshoot a little bit, send me a private message and we'll work it out together. In the meantime, this has been Brian. Thank you all for watching. I adore you. We'll talk again soon.